Good evening, and welcome to the Vineland Board of Education special meeting. We have a roll call, Ms. Haley.
Mr. Fiocchi? Mr. Holmes?
Here.
Mr. Jennings?
Present.
Mr. Medio? Mr. Sabrana?
Present.
Ms. Spinelli?
Here.
Mr. Ulrich?
Present.
Ms. Acosta?
Here.
Mr. Boardley?
Here. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following: announcing time and place thereof, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, the Press of Atlantic City, the Grapevine, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin Board. Please stand for the flag salute. At this time, we'll take public comment on agenda items only. Ms. Haley, do we have any? Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak regarding the agenda items? Seeing none. Move on to the superintendent's recommendations. Dr. Gruccio.
Before we get started this evening, I just want to make a couple of comments. First of all, Mr. Sabrana is away and he is on speakerphone, but it's very difficult when you're using a cell phone to hear all of our comments. So he is going to be watching the meeting via YouTube, and when it's time to vote, he will vote, but we will need like a 10 to 15 second delay in order for him to hear what we're saying. So if you could just be patient with that, we would appreciate it. Secondly, today we received a letter from the acting commissioner, which we were very pleased with, and the $2 million has been reinstated to us as aid for the 17-18 budget rather than a loan. So this is excellent news. However, it doesn't change our budget itself. It is, it's great news. But we had already utilized that money for the 18-19 budget. But it still gives us $200,000 additional money that we didn't anticipate. I think it's $205,000. So that's money that we thought we were going to have to pay a loan payment on that we do not have to pay. So we were very happy to receive that news today. So I just wanted to go over those two things before we get started. Okay, so I'd like to recommend discussion and approval of the following items regarding the 2018-19 district budget. First, approval of the 18-19 school district preliminary budget for submission to the State of New Jersey Department of Ed as follows. The general fund, $175,019,374, with a local tax levy of $23,984,040. Special revenue would be $25,163,544. Subtotal would be for the budget $200,182,918, and the local tax levy again would be $23,984,040. B, do you want me to go through each one, Bob, before we discussion and approval? Okay. Okay, so you want to go through with that first?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or anything on A?
Ms. Haley, you have something prepared. Do you want to share with the public?
Yes. I would like to pass this one spreadsheet out to each of the board members. As you remember, on the 14th, I did a budget presentation, and that budget presentation included a proposed tax increase of 4%. and that was before we received our state aid numbers. The following day, we received state aid, and we got an additional $417,121. We were very happy about that because we were worried that we would get less, but still it is less than last year because, as Mary stated, Dr. Guccio stated, we were reduced by $2 million last year. So we got an additional 417 this year for 18-19, which still makes us less by 1.7 million. We had a Finance Committee meeting on the 16th to go over the whole situation, to discuss what was brought up at the meeting on the 14th, to talk about the $417,000 and so forth. So the spreadsheet that I handed out to everyone here is what the Finance Committee put together on the 16th. So what we came to is we did talk about the Armed Guards program, and what we had decided is that we would reprioritize some of the budget. And we were saying at the time that the 2% tax increase would go for the regular budget, and an additional 2% would go towards armed guards. That 2% equals $461,231. The armed guard program that we're putting together at this point will be $459,100. So that extra 2% to make us at 4% would cover the armed guard program. Then we said, what will we do with the $417,121? Well, we talked about using that in addition to the balance of our maintenance reserve of $110,000 to come up with $527,000 to put towards the expansion of the dance studio. One thing we keep talking about is remaining competitive with the other districts. As you know, we do lose students to charter schools, CC Tech, other schools where they want to go for dance or performing arts. So we thought by extending or expanding the dance studio, that would help to make us more competitive, along with the AMSA program that we're putting in Johnstone. So we're budgeting $560,000 in the dance studio. The additional aid of $417 plus $110 of maintenance reserve would go towards that. Now, in order to accomplish those two things that I talked about, we made some reprioritizations. Originally, in the presentation that I gave, we had some projects at Gatone. We had the Gatone press box, the bleacher replacement, and the waterproofing for a total of $350,000. We decided to take that out of the budget and put that, to consider that another year. So we reduced the budget by that. The other thing we did is we looked at the teaching positions again, and we reduced 4 more teaching positions. That's $320,000. The remainder of it, we decided to put towards the maintenance budget because, like I said, we took the 110 in maintenance reserve to apply towards a project. We don't want to short the maintenance budget by that contingency money, so we increased their budget by $178,021. But then, today, we got the good news about the state aid adjustment. We got it, I guess, in early afternoon. We got the letter saying that the $2 million that they took from us last year and said it would be a loan to be paid over 10 years would now be reinstated for 17-18. And as Dr. Guccio said, we've already applied that to 18-19. But it does free up $205,980 out of our budget because we had to budget 1/10 of that for the principal repayment. So at this point, we can decide to transfer that to another appropriation line, or we could decide to apply it to reduce taxes down to 3% instead of 4%. In order to do that, we need to cut $230,615. So $205,980 would be part of that, and the remainder I would just reduce what we were putting into maintenance because it was well above the 110 maintenance reserve. So that's my analysis at this point.
At this point, I would like to recommend that we go from the 4% tax increase to a 3%.
Okay, I brought paperwork on that just in case we went in that direction. Okay, so what I'm handing out now is replacement for item 5A through D, and also the resolution that, well, in this whole proposal, whenever you go above 2%, you can use adjustments, which we have a healthcare adjustment of $107,664, and we're using banked cap of $122,951. So there's a resolution that goes with it. So I'm handing out 5A through D and the new resolution.
Well, Bob, that's B and C on here. Do you want me to read them at this time, or?
I would suggest you read, discuss, and approve A, then B, then C.
Okay, even though that's what Helen's sharing, yeah, okay.
I would suggest that you take 5A, B, C, and D separately, and as Helen passes out the packet, you pull out the one that applies.
Okay.
Any discussion, comments on 5A?
I
have
So
a
five,
comment.
I'm just
I'm sorry, go ahead.
confused. Is 5A going to be the 4% or the 3%?
3%. 5A is now 3% because we're applying the 205 that got freed up towards a reduction, and the whole reduction amount that we need is 230,615.
5A is going to be on that new handout that's coming out.
Sorry?
That's going to replace what's there.
I have a comment, Mr. President.
It's in both.
I have to admit, I wasn't really happy with 4%. I was more leaning towards 2, but I think 3% is fair, and, you know, we're being virtually transparent here with what we're doing with the money, so the citizens should be happy as well.
Thank you. Any other comments? 5B?
Oh, are we, no, I've covered everything.
Yeah, we're gonna go down.
Okay, okay, so then A, I mean, yeah, A if you want to, we need a motion for A.
You want to vote on each of them or go through them all first? Do I have a motion for approval of 5A?
So moved.
Roll call, Ms. Haley.
Mr. Fiocchi? Yes. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
It's going to need a 10-second delay.
Oh, right, I forgot.
John, are you able to hear us?
Hello?
Hi, John, we weren't sure if you could hear us. We're voting on...
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
o-
going to have to abstain because I have not been able to follow the audio of the meeting because of the lag of the broadcast is too slow, and I cannot hear what's being said in the room. It does sound like positive information, but I don't have the benefit of reviewing the information that Helen was passed out, and I could not hear that very clearly. So I do agree with Mr. Jennings about a lower tax rate, but I'm going to have to abstain.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Boardley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, I'd like to recommend discussion and approval of the local tax levy in the amount of $23,984,040, which includes the use of
Oh, excuse
$107,000.
me, Dr. Cruccio, we're now using the revised one.
B, right here.
The
Oh,
three-
this
the
B,
3%
I'm
one,
sorry.
yes,
Yep.
sorry.
Okay, I apologize. All right, in the amount of $23,753,424, which includes the use of $107,664 of the adjustment for increase in health care cost as calculated in the tax levy cap adjustment, and the use of $122,951 of banked cap.
I need to make one correction on $1 off. It should be $23,753,425
That's it.
in order to agree with the local tax levy that's right above it. Sorry about that, it's a typo on my part.
Any comments, discussion?
As an accountant,
Because I changed it.
Seeing no comments, do I have a motion to approve 5B?
so moved.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Haley.
Mr. Fiocchi? Yes. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Abstain?
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Boardley?
Yes.
I would like to recommend discussion and approval of the maximum travel amount in accordance with NJAC 6A:23-7.3 for the 2018-19 school district budget in the amount of $35,400. The travel amount spent to date in the 2017-18 school year is $22,212.51.
Comments or discussion? Seeing none? Motion to accept 5C.
So moved.
Roll call, Ms. Haley?
Mr. Fiocchi? Yes. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Medio?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Boardley?
Yes.
I'd like to recommend discussion and approval of a resolution authorizing the school business administrator to submit to the New Jersey Department of Education a request to use $122,951 of the district's banked cap in the 2018-19 budget.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none?
Wait, question
Look
here.
again.
Oh, sorry.
My head was in the way.
Mr. Medio, I'm sorry, we handed out revised ones before you came.
Oh, he didn't get that,
No.
did he?
I have to find my
I got the
copies.
one that everybody else got.
Up here.
I handed it out along the way.
What's a banked cap?
Banked cap is, wait, let me just give this to you first. Here's the spreadsheet I handed out, and here is the new. Every year when we do the budget software, it calculates how much is above for certain adjustment items. Our biggest adjustment item is usually healthcare when it's above a certain dollar amount. That goes into banked cap, and it accumulates for a total of 3 years. You have the choice to use that difference to increase your budget above 2%. We have not done that in the past. This is really the first year that we're using some of the banked cap. So that allows you to go above 2%, and we are proposing 3%, which just got approved. So the part of it, the adjustment for this year is $107,664, and that's calculated by the software. And then in order to get the additional $230,615, we have to go into banked cap by $122,951. So there's a resolution attached to the new handout that authorizes that.
How much is the total banked cap that we have at this time?
I
Rough
have
idea.
roughly $3 million.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Motion to accept 5D.
So moved.
Roll call, Ms. Haley?
Mr. Fiocchi? Yes. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Medio?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Boardley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Do we have any proposed items by board members? No, right? I don't think so. Now we'll have the opportunity for the public to address the board. Reminded, each person has a 5-minute limit.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I gotta take the one.
I have two things I'd like to talk about. One is the naming of the school. I'm going to look at all you board members. How can you pick one soldier over 18 that served our country in this city and died? We have a memorial veteran school. If we want to honor these, get their pictures and let the children see who they are and honor them in the school. Number two, when I come up here, I'm talking to the board, and I believe everyone is listening. But I don't like what I'm hearing about deals being made. That's what I call an ethics charge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Anyone else like to
Vicki,
speak?
I didn't understand what you said. Could you repeat it? I can't understand. Oh, okay.
If I remember. Okay, I'm going to look at all the board members and say, how can you pick one soldier over another when there is at least 12 to 18, I heard, that died in this city of Vineland? You can't. They all died fighting for our country. Number two, when I come up here, I believe I'm talking to you and hope you are listening. But what I hear, there's a lot of deals being made, and I call that an ethics charge.
Anyone else like to address the board? Seeing none? Anyone from the board like to comment on anything tonight?
I just want to thank my fellow board members as a new board member going through the budget. Everyone's patience. Thank you, Helen, for getting me all the information, and Mary being patient with all my questions, and Jeff, thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.